This time we're going to make a little bit different kind of reflection. I want to expand the canvas so we have a little bit of area for the reflection. So I'm going to use the crop tool with generative expand. This is going to take the information that's there, use it to build me more driveway for the expansion of the reflection. It's going to take a minute to generate that, and when it's done, we should have a pretty nice looking driveway here. And we do. And it's a little bit, it has a little moisture on it, so it's nice and damp, gives us a little reflectability so that we have kind of a natural way to put that reflection in. So next we want to go up and select the subject, which is the car. If you're not using the cloud variant of this and the pull down menu next to select subject, I recommend you try it because it's supposed to be more accurate. It seems to be pretty good. Then you want to flip that extra version of the car vertically and place it right underneath the car that's sitting there. Now, you notice it's not a very accurate kind of looking reflection, so we're going to have to do something about that. What we're going to do is go to the Edit menu, go down to Perspective Warp, and what we're going to do here is draw out some planes. So if you think of it as like sides of a box, the back end of the car is one side of the box, the side of the car is another. So we're going to build one plane for the back of the car and kind of reshape it to as best as possible. Then we're going to draw out another plane. It'll snap to the first one and draw out a plane on that side of the car that follows the lines of the plane. You want it to follow the line of the roof and the wheels, basically. You can reshape those and modify those to your heart's content. Once you get it to a certain point, hit return or enter, and then you can start doing what I'm doing right now, which is shaping it so that it hits the bottom of the tires where it would naturally do that. Don't forget to adjust the top of the car as well, which in this case is at the bottom of the canvas, and shape it so it looks like a regular reflection. And that is going to give you a nice looking reflection. I'm going to drop the opacity just a little bit because it wouldn't be a full mirror unless it were sitting on a mirror, and this is kind of shiny tar. We're going to add a layer mask to this because it would kind of fade off in all likelihood as we get away from the car more. So I'm just going to use a big black brush. I'm going to be at about 50% opacity probably here because I want to erase it little by little, and then just go over the top of the car where it would be farthest from the actual thing that it's reflecting, and let that reflection fade off a bit. It's pretty realistic looking shadow there, reflection there. If you have any adjustments you need to do, just hit the transform tool and go to warp, and then you can kind of tug a little bit here and there to make it fit absolutely perfectly. I do want to add one more thing. At this point, I'm just going to stop and put a little history snapshot up here so that we can get back to this point. And then I'm going to throw this layer away because I do want to show you that AI can sometimes be helpful in doing things like this too. So let's do a comparison and come down here and just select the driveway. I'm not being super careful, but I'm going to do that. Okay, just select the whole driveway. Now that I've got that here, I'm going to go to my little contextual menu here. If that's not showing, go down to contextual menu under your window menu. Click a generative fill, and I'm going to tell it to make a reflection of the car onto the driveway and see what it does. And see how well it does, because it's obvious that we've got all of these AI tools available to us. Sometimes they work really well, sometimes they work less than stellarly, and it's really good to know your options if you're in a situation where you want to really use these tools to save time. It's good to know what to expect. In this case, it's using the whole driveway and kind of giving us what would be the hood of another car, reflecting that car. That's really not what we want. So I'm gonna get rid of that layer, that generative layer, and come in here and reselect and just put it right in here. Again, just generally in that area. And I think I might make that just a bit bigger. Like that. And I'm going to tell it the same thing. So make a reflection of the car. Make sure your spelling's good, because computers aren't that wonderful at figuring out bad spelling. And you can change the wording if you don't like the way it comes out as well, even leaving your original iterations, your original 3 versions that you'll see in the properties panel. So it's going to take a minute to do that, and we are just going to wait for it to do its work. It did a pretty nice job. It's making it look a little more watery than I would have expected it to, but it does a pretty nice job as well. You could actually use something like that in addition to that. So I could come down here and ask it to select subject again. And I'm just gonna have that, copy it and bring it above the layer with the reflection and flip it again vertically. Bring it down and again go through those whole motions of what we were using. Instead of starting over again, I'm going to get rid of that and just freeze this at the moment so I can get back to that snapshot. Come into this snapshot, and what I'm going to do here is get rid of the layer mask just so we don't have to deal with that. Select all, copy, and then come back to the last snapshot and paste in place. I want it to go right exactly where it was. So I've got that now. I can lower the opacity on that layer if I want. It's really, really different, but we can just erase what we don't want. So in this case, I want the clarity of the tires where they are. And then down here where we're getting really, really white sky coming through, I could come in here and pick up that color and just tell it that I kind of would like that to not be so bright by going darken, and it's just going to darken up what it can darken and not down here. It's going to darken what it can darken, but not, and it has to be rasterized, darken anything that's already darker than it is. That's what darken means. So I'm going to rasterize that generative layer and then come in here, and you can see how it's allowing that tar color to stay in there. So that is kind of a cool way to make a reflection as well. You can see right here, I'm going to have to make a choice which one I want to use. So in here, I'm actually going to erase the AI generated one just a little bit and kind of let that go through that way. So there's so many things you can do with this. We could mask that part off as well. Remember, you could actually squash that down before you do it. You can make the reflection so it wasn't quite as tall if you wish to. So lots of different options here. And I just wanted to show you those options so you can have fun and kind of experiment and play with them.